Good afternoon, Coach Kelly here with a very special guest. Steve Manser is actually one of my clients at Lifetime Fitness North Dallas, where I work as a fitness professional and nutrition coach. But I'm not so much having him on my corporate wellness show this afternoon because of our client relationship. It's everything that he does in his life, beyond that. He is a high-level executive in the wine business. He is the husband to a beautiful wife, the father to two precious boys. He's a monster in the gym. And somehow he manages to pull all that off because his work schedule is crazy, including sometimes extensive travel, even internationally. So I've invited him this afternoon just to see how he does all that he does and maintain sanity. So Steve, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Excited to be here.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate your time this afternoon. So let's jump in. How did you get started in the wine business?
Well, I was in the restaurant business right out of the gate, out of high school, waiting tables, bartending for almost 10 years. And when I hit about 25 years old, I kind of hit a mini midlife crisis. And I went to one of my restaurant manager that I kind of looked up to as a mentor and just said, "Hey, man, how do you make money in this industry without being a waiter for the rest of my life or a bartender?" And he asked me what I knew about wine. And my first reaction was, I know it was white, red, and sometimes pink. And that's the best answer I could give him. But it really intrigued me that was his answer. And so he challenged me to go study up and learn, because in the fine dining industry, people don't come back and order a second steak or a second meal, but they do order a second bottle of wine. And the more you know, the better of a salesperson you can be. And that overall dictates your income. So I took that to heart and pounded the books. Within a year, I earned my first level intro to sommelier and was asked to take over the wine program and help people study within my restaurant. And it just kind of went from there.
So you went from really not having a clue to discovering that you had a passion for something that you really didn't know it was kind of an unknown for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the more I learned, the more I read, the more I tasted, I fell in love with just the whole concept of wine. I mean, wine makes you feel good. It makes food taste better. And there was just kind of a romance to it that I fell into.
So I know that you work with, my next question was to me, how long you've been in the wine business? Essentially, you say at 25, and then you describe the transition out of the restaurant business into just being in the wine business.
So I stayed in the restaurant business till I was 28, at which point my current company that I've been with for 15 years approached me and said, how would I like to come and sell wine for them? And I was really scared at first because restaurants is all I knew. It's a lifestyle. But I was also kind of excited and intrigued about being able to work during the day, having my nights and weekends off and holidays off. So I kind of took the leap. And in 2009, the day after the Super Bowl, I remember that being my first day on the job. And I mean, I instantly fell in love with it. And I've been with my company for, like I said, 15 years. So just selling on the wine aspect, 15 years.
And you've worked your way up. So
yes, sir.
Give me a favorite client success story.
Oh, so many. I would have to go with, there was this one restaurant that my competitor had pretty much owned their entire business, wine list, back bar, everything. And everybody told me, you're not going to get into this account. They just love their competitor sales associate, and you're just not going to do it. And so, I love a good challenge, especially when you tell me I can't do something. And so
I know you love a good challenge.
Yeah. So I introduced myself to the owner and to the restaurant managers and just told them who I was, who I worked for. I would love the opportunity to show you guys some wine and show you what my company represents and how I can help service your customers. And for, like, I got the blow off. Thank you. I appreciate it. Come back and see me when you can. So I made an appointment, and I got blown off a couple times, and I finally just told the general manager, look, I'm going to come in here once a week until you start taking me seriously. And he kind of like was taken back by it. And so I said, yeah, I was like, I'm not trying to waste your time, but I think you're missing the boat. I've got plenty of wines that your customers are looking for and want to enjoy with their meals. And so we're going to make this happen. That was 12 years ago. And now I spend holiday parties with them. They're some of my closest friends. I can walk into that restaurant and say hi to every single person. It's been a really fun journey. But that just always sticks in my mind, being told you can't do something. And then here I go. I own the majority of their business. They're an extremely successful steakhouse. Yeah, it's just been great.
So how long did you drip on him before he finally gave in?
Oh, it was about a good 6 or 7 months, but I was there steadily every Thursday at 6 o'clock, ponied up at their bar. I found something that I could drink, and I just kept hammering them. Said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm your guy, and at some point, you're going to realize it.
Well, congratulations on
I
that.
appreciate it.
So, Steve, I mean, the pandemic was a challenge to the world. It was definitely a challenge in the gym industry. I remember March 16th, Monday afternoon, our boss sent us a text and said, we're closing. I don't know when we're opening. If you have anything you need here, come get it. And for 2 months, we were shut down. And then once we reopened, but, in the time after, at least in the gym business, I mean, it was a struggle to ramp back up. How did that impact your business?
Oh, I mean, it crushed my business. So part of my industry is separated between dining in and retail. So we have what's called on-premise and off-premise. On-premise, anywhere you can open a bottle of wine and enjoy there on property, or retail being your grocery stores, convenience stores, and whatnot. And I mean, when COVID hit and restaurants shut down, so did my portion of the business. But my company, we put all of our focus towards retail because people were still able to go to the grocery store for, necessities, and alcohol being one of those. If you're cooped up to the house, people drink. And so, when we went to 0% sales, our retail side of the business shot up 400%.
Really?
I mean, it was insane. It was insane. So we pushed all of our sales associates, managers, myself included. I was at grocery stores for that almost full year, throwing boxes and stocking the shelves and making suggestions where I could.
And then now things obviously gone back to normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it slowly came about, and of course, when they were able to operate with a like their to-go service, a lot of restaurants were offering family deals and packages. They were given the opportunity. They passed a law in Texas so that you could buy wine and alcohol and take it with you.
I remember that.
Kind of slowly helped. And as we started slowly coming out of lockdowns, people wanted to get out and dine. And so even at 30% occupancy, 50% occupancy, 70% occupancy, we make sure to stay in contact with our clientele and let them know, look, we're in this with you. Because if they don't succeed, we don't succeed.
Right.
And the great thing I can say about the alcohol industry, whether you partake or not, is it is kind of a recession-proof industry. If you think about it, when nothing is happening with the economy, people go out and they enjoy their beverage, whether it's at a bar, a restaurant, bring it home. When the economy is doing fantastic, their budget is much higher, and so they buy more expensive wine. They go out and dine more. And when it's really bad, like what happened with the pandemic, people still had a budget for alcohol, albeit it was less expensive, but they were still drinking it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love this business.
Well, I hope we never go back to those days. That was a dark time.
Amen. Amen to that.
So, Steve, what makes you feel inspired to do what you do? You said you love the industry, but what makes you feel inspired to do what you do every day?
I mean, it comes as no surprise. I'm a people person. I love being around people. I love talking to people. I just love the interaction. And our industry is very face to face. It's shaking hands, it's talking, it's collaborating with ideas. And I still have a passion for the restaurant business. This job that I transitioned to gave me an opportunity to stay in that business. But without having to deal with the hours. So, I mean, I still talk to customers about wine. I have friends who come over and we drink wine. And I think it's just, the relationship and the romance about wine. I mean, this is something that's handmade by somebody. I mean, it takes a lot of work that goes into a single bottle of wine. And, a mentor of mine told me, and this will always stick with me, that wine is one of, if not the most expensive one-time used commodity. Because once you drink it, it's gone, and now it's just a memory.
Right.
And so to me, that was kind of cool to think about. So I mean, I can remember every great bottle of wine I've had because it's been with a certain person or a certain dinner, and it's just made memories. Some people, if you look at some of the cost of a bottle of wine, this is what people spend on vacations or a car or a grocery bill for the month. And so it's just cool to see what people are drinking and why they're drinking it.
So this is not a question that I had on my list, but I mean, just based on what you just said, what drives or what are the drivers for the cost of a bottle of wine, just for education purposes? I'm curious.
I mean, mainly the country or region the wine comes from, depending on the family lineage. You've got wines from France and Italy, and some of these are 6, 7, 8 generation wineries. And so they're just well established. The cost of the grapes, Mother Nature plays a big part in it. And so that typically will drive the cost, just determining on where you're buying and what you're buying.
And does age have a factor as well, or play a part? The age of the wine?
It can, if you're obviously older vintages of certain wines, well-established, prestigious wineries, they'll be more expensive. But I mean, just as a whole, I mean, wine grapes are just expensive. And so you got, the cost of the glass, the labor that goes into it. There's just a lot of factors that go into the wine. That doesn't mean the more expensive, the better the wine is. It just can play a part in it.
Interesting. I will never forget the company that I worked for before coming to Lifetime. Their corporate office is out in wine country, Northern California. And one of our annual celebration dinners, we went to a vineyard. And I mean, it was a vineyard. And it was built into the side of, it wasn't a mountain, but it was a good size hill. And there was this ginormous door or doors, and you go in those doors and you walk back probably 7,500 yards down this long hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a actual living, breathing, there was wine storage, wine cellar, but it dual purposed as for special events. And so they would cater in the food and host groups, weddings or whatever. That was one of the coolest experiences. And the temperature is like a constant, 68 degrees, something like that. No air, no heat, no nothing. It was what it was.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I've been to wineries that are built inside of a mountain. And so they cut through and make caves, and it's temperature controlled. It's humidity controlled. So you won't get the heat won't affect it. The rain, the moisture in the air, it's kept at a very simple, appropriate temperature. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
Okay, I'll change gears on you. As a fitness professional, clients hire me to help them with their training, with their nutrition, with their mindset. And the biggest struggle that I face one of the biggest struggles is people reaching a point that they think they can do it on their own and they sign me off and go on their own. In your business and dealing with clients, because that's probably the biggest struggle that I run into. What's the biggest struggle that you run into just in your course of daily business?
Kind of the same thing sometimes. I mean, there is a younger generation of wine educators, buyers who think they know more. They read more, and they kind of go off on their own, and they think they have it all figured out. And I tell them, look, man, I'm here. I've got a fantastic sales staff with education and knowledge to help you build a wine list, because ultimately we're not the ones drinking, as a buyer, we're not the ones drinking these wines. It's your customers. And so you have to make sure that you are building a list that is approachable, people recognize, because nobody wants to buy something they never heard of or cannot pronounce. Right. And so we try to educate people and say, hey, look, there's room to have cool, groovy, obscure, no-name wines, but you also have to make sure that you have approachability so people can understand, oh, you guys also carry this wine or that wine. I know this one. I like this. I can buy this. I'll drink that.
It sounds like it's somewhat of an education process that you have to take your clients through.
Oh, absolutely. It's always tasting wine. It's always reading. There's always something new or innovative happening, some new trend that's going on in the world, within the wine community. And so, it's our job to make sure that we're following along with those trends and making sure that we communicate that with our partners and help the best that we can.
Okay. So what's the biggest personal challenge that you've overcome that, having gone through that, you're a better person because of it?
Definitely my eating. So with my job, I am always entertaining clients, customers, or even members of my own team. And so for a long time, I would eat out, and I was always the guy. I just love food. I'm considered what you would consider a foodie. And so I was always the guy who would get the Philly cheesesteak or the steak sandwich or a ribeye for lunch or the big bowl of pasta or just all this decadent and heavy food. And it took until I got into the gym working with you, actually, that those are treat meals, but you can't sustain energy. You can't sustain life that way. And so, making sure that you have a balance of good eating habits to earn the fun wines, the fun meals. So that's been my biggest challenge, but I definitely have overcome it. Food isn't necessarily a part of my life anymore. I still have my treat meals, which I make sure now that they're no more Whataburger treat meals. Now it's, I go out to eat, I eat with a purpose, but I think a lot about what I put into my body now.
So I'm going to tattle on him a little bit. I say long before, but a year or so before I ever started making videos, because Steve and I have worked together for a while, and I wrote a blog because I write a blog. And the title, his blog it was a tribute to him because of the progress that he made, The Foodie and the Athlete. And it was towards the end of that blog that he told me the story. And this was just, I was in the process of writing it, and you'll remember this. And he made a comment to me or told me a short story one day that gave me really the conclusion to the blog. But is it kolaches that you like?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you had a coworker that was down where?
West Texas.
West Texas.
The city of West.
The kolache capital of the world.
Oh man, they are known. If you drive from Dallas to Waco and you don't stop, you're not a Texan.
So Steve said that this particular trip, he didn't go, but one of his coworkers went. Mm-hmm. Called you, contacted you, said, "Hey, dude, do you want me to get you some?" And ordinarily it would have been, "Heck yeah."
Yeah, bring me a box.
But that particular trip, he said, "That's okay, I'm good." And you passed up on that.
Yeah, I did. I'm still kicking myself in the butt for that one. But yeah, I think one of the reasons why I started this journey, I wasn't in the best shape. I have two children, like you said, 7 and 4, and they're only getting bigger, and they want to play and they want to run and they want to do sports and they want to wrestle. And I just never had the energy. I never could keep up with them. And since then, changing my eating habits and making the gym a priority in my life, I can run those two into the ground.
Well, you have your hands full with them for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on personal development and how has that contributed to your success in your career?
Well, I mean, I think everybody should strive to get better in any aspect of life. If you're not happy with something, then you're the best person to decide what that is and what you're going to do about it. Um, you know, when my mom passed away just about 2 years ago, it was a very quick diagnosis. She passed away of cancer, and it just got me thinking. It got me thinking, like, man, I am not in the best shape. The older I get, I don't want to, if I can help myself fight these kind of ailments or being able to get through, whether it's chemotherapy or whatever you have, I wasn't in the shape to do it. And I think that's when I looked at my wife and said, I need to get back into shape. I need to start taking care of myself. And first thing we did was join Lifetime. And I got about 15 pounds, I think 15 pounds down on my own in about 6 months, but still knew there was something I could do more, something I wasn't doing. And so my wife and I decided, hey, let's get, for our anniversary, I think it was our 6-year anniversary, we like to follow along the traditional wedding anniversary presents, and that year was iron. And so she came up with the idea, hey, play on iron. Let's pump iron with a personal trainer, nutritionist. And we're like, yeah, that sounds cool. And so that's when we sought you out.
See, I never
And
knew
it
that.
changed my life.
I never knew that story. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, changed my life.
Well, y'all were a blessing to me, or have been a blessing to me as well. So what's your favorite book?
Ooh, my favorite book. So from a work standpoint, I would have to say The 1 Minute Manager.
Okay.
It is a really short read, but it has given me a lot of information and ability to talk and manage people better, becoming a better listener and being more empathetic to the people that I work with or who report to me. I think it's a good balance of just understanding a problem and collaborating together to come up with a solution that makes everybody happy. Personal, I'd have to say the Lord of the Rings trilogy. My dad got me into that when I was really young. It's the longest book I've ever read so far. I think it was 1,010 pages. So it's easily one of the best books ever.
Those three movies are among my favorite.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that favorite movie?
Favorite movie. I've always had a fascination with war. Just my 10th grade world history teacher kind of got me into it because it was really hard keeping my attention. And so whenever we learned about like World War II or Vietnam, I was like, oh, hey, I like this material. So I'd have to go with Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
Anytime I see that movie, I can, doesn't matter where it is in the book or where it is in the movie, I will finish the movie. Close second would probably be Shawshank Redemption. How do you not love that movie? And then probably the Goodfellas. Love a good gangster movie.
All three excellent. So I know we touched on your fit, I mean, touched on your fitness and your training. Um, but still from a mindset standpoint, because I know there are times that you and Lottie come to the gym together. But right now, I mean, I just saw her
She was there at
5:45 this
5 a.m.
morning.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been training early. Y'all been training as much together as apart. How do you juggle job and the boys and her and relationship? And I mean, what's your mindset to pull all that off?
It's having a wife who understands and who champions your need and want to get better, physically, appearance wise, just health. I've got a pretty amazing wife. She
Yeah,
got me into this journey, and it's a lot of communication. It's this is important to me. Family is the number one thing important to me. So in order to be around, for the long haul, I need to be healthy, and part of that is exercise. And so we kind of both do it. It's a lifestyle. So we kind of worked it out, as the kids are getting older and dealing with karate and soccer games and my work. We just find time. It's if it's important to you, if something is important to you, you make time for it. So if that means, I go take the kids to soccer, she takes the kids to karate, we have dinner, and as she puts them to bed, I go in late, she goes in the morning, then that's what we do. On the weekends, we go as a family. Sometimes if I'm not in the mood, I'll find something, whether it's a long walk down by the green belt and the kids can ride their bikes and Madi goes, or I go and she takes the kids. We just make time for it.
I'm proud of you.
I
So
appreciate it.
how does your success in the gym over the last couple of years and with your health in general, how does that make you better in the rest of your life?
I mean, I feel I sleep better. I used to have a really bad snoring problem, like sleep apnea to the nth degree. It was really, really, really bad. And as I started working out and eating better and getting more healthy, that's pretty much gone away. And
That's
so,
all.
I contributed that to my overall health. I can get out there and run with the kids. I play soccer with them. I chase them around the park. We wrestle in the living room. I can stay awake. I don't feel sluggish and tired. I feel great, especially putting in a long day at the gym or a good workout at the gym. It's satisfying.
So I'm going to tattle on him again because it was kind of a running joke, much to his wife's displeasure. When we were working together personally, and he went from Steve lost a good bit of weight when he and I were working together directly. And it was kind of a running joke of because we would usually train on Saturdays.
Mhm.
Who did you run into this last week who's not seen you since you've made such a big change? And I mean, he just, whether it was business associates or clients or family members, he left jaws in the floor repeatedly because of how much, I mean, they didn't recognize it because
Yeah.
of how much his body changed. But
Yeah. I think it was almost 55 pounds. I
yeah,
lost. Took about 10 months to do. And of course, we had to go shopping for new clothes, which my wife loved to do. So she said, let's go. But yeah, I mean, it's been a fun journey. And I think that also kind of helped keep me going. Seeing people that I hadn't seen in a while, like, Steve, is that you? Yeah. Yeah. So, those compliments will always keep me going. But yeah, that was a good time.
well, it's not, it's you deserve it. So what's the best in kind of in the spirit of that? What's the best compliment you've ever received?
I really think that people who just didn't recognize me, they're like, Steve? Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Look how much weight you've lost, and I just, I'm not an easy man to blush, but that those ones always got me.
Well, again, you deserved it. So what's the best advice you've ever received?
Uh, the harder something is to do, the more worth it is.
Now, who'd that come from?
My wife.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was always really good, even when we first met and dating. She was a very active person, whether it was a kickball league or softball or hot yoga or running or gym. Just she was always doing that, and she always ate really healthy for the most part. She would get the salad and I would get the steak sandwich, or I'd eat a whole pizza. She'd be cooking salmon or eating sushi. Um, and then when I finally got on her level, we were able to it was just something that we were able to enjoy together.
Well, I think in a relationship, when it comes to fitness, the husband and wife being on the same page is mission critical.
Absolutely.
Because if one is not, it's going to be a problem.
Yes, sir.
And
it has saved on our grocery bill. That's for sure. So now we don't have two people eating two different meals.
Right. So, how would your friends and family describe what you do for a living?
Most people think I just drive around, eat at fancy restaurants, and drink alcohol all day. I've heard that for the last 15 years. There's a little bit more to it than that. But yes, I still do that. I do that too.
So given the age of your boys, what would they say their dad does?
My oldest says I sell wine bottles for a living. And that's what he wants to do when he grows up. He wants to sell wine bottles.
Okay.
I said, yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it.
So if you could have dinner with two people, past or present, free reign, who would they be?
I would have to definitely say my mom. Like I said, she passed away 2 years ago, and this whole transformation started right after she had passed away, and so she didn't get to see the new Steve. I don't want to say maybe not the new Steve, but the improved Steve. She was always my biggest champion throughout my entire life. And so I definitely would have to say her. And then, I'd have to say Jesus. Improving my health and my fitness really got me to thinking, what other aspects can I improve on? And one of the things that my mom had always wished I would do was have a better relationship with Christ and have my kids know who that is and have a relationship with the church. And so my wife and I have been taking the kids, for about a year now, and it's helped our marriage. It's helped me at work. It's helped me in the gym. It's just kind of making it a more complete. I feel more complete.
Steve, that's the best answer you give me the whole time. I don't see how people make it without faith. I mean, if there's no God, if you don't have that to rely on, as crazy as our world is today, I don't see how people make it.
No, I absolutely. Absolutely. And, I don't get into religious conversations a lot, but if people ask me a question, I'll most certainly answer it. He's part of the reason why I'm still here, and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and helping me get my life on track. And he's blessed me with beautiful children, a beautiful wife who cares about me, a successful career, family, friends. I mean, yeah, that's just another part of driving my life.
Well, the best thing that you could ever do for those little boys is what you're doing. You are modeling what they need to see right now. That's not, I grew up in the church. I was very fortunate, but gosh, not everyone does. And you're giving them an advantage to have that instilled in them, knowledge of Christ, knowledge, I mean, just having that instilled in them at such an early age, that's going to be good, for the rest of their life.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's it's a lot of work, but we get there.
Okay, so what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Put the cheeseburger down and get your ass in the gym. Pardon my language. Sorry.
Amen.
I've always done things the hard way. I got out of high school, went right into working. I didn't go back to college until my semester. My first semester was right when I found out my wife was pregnant with our first child. So I had to juggle going back to school, finishing a degree while raising a child.
Wow.
That was like the hardest thing on the planet to do. Getting into the gym, trying to eat right, find time while raising two kids, having a family, being at work and doing it, I think 39 and a half. So, I come from, I played sports. I was on the wrestling team and the football team, but, nutrition was never a part of it. And so I would say now, you don't always have to eat the whole pizza. You can eat 2 slices, but have a salad, chicken, fish. You don't always have to have the big tomahawk ribeye. You can have a filet, cut it down. So that's what I would definitely tell myself.
Nutrition is definitely the hardest part. I tell people that the handful of hours that you might go to the gym every week is nothing.
Nope.
Compared to the commitment to food, because you have to monitor what you put in your face from the moment you get up until you go to bed at night. And that's the make or break.
That's the hardest part of it. But it's I think you said something to me like a long time ago, and it stuck with me. It's 90% of the transformation is in the kitchen. And everybody goes into working out. They want the 6-pack and they want the defined shoulders and the muscles. In fact, I think I told you I wanted to look like Thor when I came in, and you laughed. And we're like, well, that's around 8 to 10% body fat. So this is the diet plan. And I kind of looked at it, was like, there's no way I'm going to do it. But I'm one of those types of people. When you tell me I can't do something or something's hard or I get my mind set on it, then I'm going to give it 110%. And that's what my wife and I did. And the results showed, and it just kind of took a life on its own. Now I have a couple of more treat meals because I'm where I want to be, and I'm in a happy time in my life. And so, but I still stick to the fitness program 110%, the nutrition probably 95%. So there's a healthy balance. You just got to make sure you earn them, I guess I would say.
And I'll tattle on him one last time. I did a video, actually one of my very first videos when I just started a few months ago, that I briefly described Steve's transformation, and the point that I made, I think the title of the video is that you don't have to be perfect. Steve was not perfect in losing 55 pounds, not even.
Nope.
But he was a long ways in the right direction, and it was enough. I'm working with a guy right now that he's lost 22 pounds in the last 50, 60 days. He's not been perfect. There's been alcohol, there's been treats, but he's lost 22 pounds. So you don't have to be perfect. There's something to be said for having a life. And so, okay, one last question.
Well, and I think it's also, the glass of wine, the beers with your friends, the cheeseburger, the pizza, whatever it is, the jelly donut, whatever it is, that's for your mental health. It's you can't do it 100% every single day, or you'll drive yourself crazy. There are people who can, and hats off to them, very impressive. But I enjoy dining out and having food that's not healthy for you. But there's like you said, there's a balance. And I make sure now, when I treat myself, it's like I'm gonna have a good treat meal, but you got to earn them. And so if this is the journey for you, it's sacrifices you got to make.
Okay, so one more question.
Okay.
This is the legacy question. How does Steve want to be remembered?
Oh man, 20-year-old self Steve and now Steve. Um, Definitely different answers. I would have to say, I want to be remembered as a good friend, a great father, and an adoring husband. Family's everything to me. Like I've said before, and I want to make sure people know that I put it all on the table for my kids. I laid it all out there for my wife. A lot of my friends a lot of the people that I surround myself with now are like family to me. I mean, that's how close our kids grow up together, or they've been around my kids all my life. And I just want them to say that's a guy who loved his family. That's a guy who loved his kids and would do anything. You go back to talking about the balancing act. It's just something that I want to do. And if it means I get 5 hours of sleep for the next 10 years to get everything in that I want to do, then that's the sacrifice I make. And so it's worth it. The only regret I have is I didn't do it sooner.
When I tell people all the time, you are not a slave to your past. You
Nope.
can't change it. You're not a slave to it. And if you want your tomorrows to be different, you make different choices today. And you have. You just need to keep doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, it starts with day one, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. It's set small goals, get there, then push the finish line. You're never going to finish the race. There's just another stage. And if you can get to your first goal, then let's go to your second goal. Maybe your first goal is 10 pounds. Maybe your first goal is I'm going to go 7 days before having a treat meal. Maybe your first goal is I want to be 2 inches smaller in the waist. We'll get there and then set a new goal and then set a new goal. Because I think the shorter goals you set, the more goals you obtain, the more you are willing to do the bigger steps, and the progress goes a lot further. You want more, you want more, you want more. I feel like a lot of people, it's that January, the new members in January, they come in, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. Here we go. And they just set a lofty goal and then they stop. It's like, just get to February. See if I can be here 30 days and then make it 60 days and then make it 90 days.
The key is consistency.
Yep.
And just to keep moving forward. And the longer you do that, the more momentum you create, to the point that you become flat unstoppable. I would say that you and Marty are unstoppable at this point. I mean,
we definitely feel it.
You're not
feel like that.
You're not going to go backwards now. You've accomplished too much.
No, it's a lifestyle. Like I said, it's something that we've incorporated. We juggle multiple birthday parties and family events, and it's like, all right, if you go now, then I can go later tonight, or hey, let's do this before the movie, or we figure it out. And it's gotten me to where I am now. My success, just with my health and being a better father and a husband. And so why would I stop something that has helped me be a better person? You got to identify what has helped you, and you got to go all in on those.
So Steve, you have any final words of wisdom for us?
If you don't know who Kelly is, you need to get down to Lifetime Fitness at the corner of Trinity Mills in March, and tell them you want to get to work. This guy changed my life. Changed my life.
I just told you what to do. You did the work.
Yeah, but you know what? It's that going off on your own thing. It's like I got to a certain point. I've lost some weight. I was feeling better, but I wasn't going to get where I needed to go without a professional. And everybody kept saying your name and your name. And so I said, Monty, this is who we need to get with. And from day one, you put us through the grinder. And I was like, okay, this is what we needed. And so I mean, I owe a lot of it to you. So I thank you, and my wife thanks you, and my kids thank you.
Well, thank you, my friend. I look forward to seeing you at the gym soon.
I will be there at 6:30 tonight.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate it.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.